The tunnel leading to the vault is a gullet of stone blocks. Silt dust falls from the grooves overhead in small wisps and collects in piles along the way. From time to time, one of the thieves whispers for the men to halt, having spotted what he believes to be a ward hidden among the stony passage. Baku the Black actually has the lightest tan of the three, but his hair and his eyes are dark as jet. Rodun the White has the darkest skin, but he dresses in white cloth that covers all but his feet, hands, and eyes. QABLI Ad Sawath is no thief in the truest sense of the word, but there he is, torch in hand, creeping his way towards the vault of House Mohimker. Baku the Black makes another sudden stop. He raises a palm to his companions, lowers his torch, and crouches to study the floor ahead. "The way here is trapped." QABLI holds back, whilst the black thief and the white thief scan over the nearby stone blocks. He knows only the basics of such arts. Why am I here? He understands well why he is there. After all, he had plotted the burglary. And yet, he had spoken the question to himself many times already this night. House Sawath's banner displays twin serpents on its field of green and gold, but it was the serpent between QABLI's legs that had gotten him into such great trouble. Some time ago, he had traveled from his home city of Kesh to another called Caspique. The women there were said to be the most beautiful in all the land. He had gone to marry the firstborn daughter of a noble house, whose beauty and charm surpassed all others. From the time of QABLI's arrival until his wedding, it was a wait of 10 days. Each passing day brought with it new temptations, as he witnessed the truth of the legendary beauty of Caspique's women. "I am ready to leave my lustful affairs all behind me. Just let me hold out until my wedding night," QABLI prayed. "I have come so far. Please give me strength." But his flesh was weak. On the 6th day, whilst picking fruit in a garden, he came across a pool where a girl was bathing. Her body seemed sculpted from honey by the hand of a god, and her hair was a mane of curls that draped to the small of her back. QABLI fell mad with passion and took her then and there. The following afternoon, he swaggered drunken into a brothel that smelled of myrrh and opium. The mahogany-skinned vixen he met there turned the 7th day into the 8th. The 9th day he spent alone and tormented by remorse. On the 10th day, he met his bride. She was more intoxicating to behold than the strongest wine gold could buy. But it was her eyes that affected QABLI so. They held a certain purity, an innocence, an openness deep enough to engulf him. His heart broke upon the maiden's gaze. He wept, but lied, saying they were tears of joy. He married and swore from the core of his being to remain faithful to his wife. 2 years passed before the delights of his marriage met with dread. A messenger arrived speaking of a child QABLI had begotten through his affair with the girl in the garden pool. He turned the messenger away in fury. Then came a second, then a third. At last, the girl herself appeared at his manor, with her honey skin and mane of hair. "This is your daughter," she spoke, gesturing to the lovely child at her side. "Lies!" rebuked QABLI. But when he pushed the golden woman aside, he saw the little girl's eyes clearly. They were the same as his own, one green, one amber. QABLI's wife was devastated at this revelation. She returned to her family in Cask Peak, who immediately commenced with a sequence of legal reprimands and bitter feuds. The months that followed were filled with what QABLI's father referred to as a multitude of woes.
This should foil the mechanism,
says Baku the Black in a low voice. There is a sound of something metallic tightening.
Yes. Ready and safe.
QABLI is still cringing from the memories of his past. He pounds a fist into a palm and grimaces.
What is wrong with you?
Asks Rodun the White, his voice muffled by the cloth mask of his headscarf.
That is the way he is,
replies the Black.
I've never seen a man frown as much as he does.
Let's get moving,
QABLI states to the men. When he notices them waiting for him to take the lead, he orders in a gruff voice,
Go! You two first!
The thieves test the floor ahead with searching feet. Once they deem it stable, they step onwards. QABLI follows suit. A moment later, the trio arrive at a stone door carven with the effigy of a minotaur. The creature has two curving horns, a scowling expression, and a gaping mouth full of large teeth. There is otherwise no apparent handle, hinge, or keyhole. Baku and Rodun proceed to look over the door.
There must be a way to open this,
says Baku the Black. He traces a finger over one of the minotaur's incisors. Rodun the White scrutinizes the exaggerated tongue of the minotaur, pauses to ponder something, then goes back over the same spot.
Blood,
he says.
It has been cleaned away, many times in fact, but it is blood that opens the way.
Whose blood?
Asks the Black.
I doubt that it matters whose, just that the Minotaur's tongue receives the blood it needs.
At that, the two exchange glances, then look towards QABLI.
Go on, decide amongst yourselves, he says.
It is one of these scoundrels who shall bleed, not I. They wouldn't even be here with this opportunity for such fortune if it wasn't for me. I am no coward,
utters Rodun the White. He draws his dagger, makes a tiny cut across the top of his hand, and smears the blood onto the Minotaur's tongue. There comes the sound of stone shifting against stone, and the door swings open. The way ahead reveals a vault trimmed over in gold leafing. Resting atop a low pedestal is a spear graven with silver runes.
Darimshing,
whispers QABLI. It is the spear that the legendary warrior Yumakora used to slay the dragon of Mount Bitterthrone. Baku the Black's eyes grow wide with desire. He steps to the pedestal and reaches for the spear. When he grasps it, he is only able to pull the spear a mere few inches, as it is affixed from underneath to the pedestal by a metal rod. A gout of flame spews from a hidden nozzle, engulfing Baku. Shrieking, he flails himself away from the fire spout, then collapses to the floor. The stench of charred flesh fills the air. The white thief gazes at the sight.
That is not Darimshing,
he hisses.
So it is not,
agrees QABLI.
must be a way out of this chamber.
The White gives a word of farewell to his fallen comrade, then picks up his reduced torch. The two men remaining begin looking over the gleaming designs upon the walls.
I find nothing, says QABLI. Perhaps this entire tunnel is a trap, and the true vault lies elsewhere. Do not assume so, responds Rodun the White. See here, this fine edge hidden within the gilded trim. It is a portal, though I have found no means to open it.
They ponder all that they have seen in the deathly vault. Rodun then peers at the spear on the pedestal.
Perhaps.
He draws closer on cautious steps, then studies the device.
The spear can do more than pull upwards. It can rotate. I believe this will open the way.
He ties the end of his rope near the butt of the spear. The men back away, and Rodun tugs. With a slight metallic whine, the spear rotates upon its axis, and the wall slab sinks into the ground. A new section of tunnel lies beyond. QABLI peers into the passageway. It is a corridor lined with 7-foot statues of masked soldiers. Each one holds a steel scimitar in its right hand and an iron censer in its left hand. The censers dangle from chains and contain illuminating firelight. The ground holds inlaid patterns of complex mosaic work. At the far end of the tunnel is an open archway in some dark chamber beyond. The White Thief discards his stub of a torch. He takes a long gaze at the statues and the masterwork floor.
The only irregularity in the mosaic pattern is the blue tiles. I deduce these to be the safe path.
QABLI studies the tiles and is able to see the truth in his companion's words.
This man is a cunning one. Cunning as a cat thieving from a marketplace. The blue tiles are few, and with many gaps between. Of course they are. I can go on alone, should you wish.
Without waiting for a response, Rodun steps ahead. He traverses the tunnel on the tips of his toes, placing careful steps from place to place, and even making a couple short leaps. He reaches the other end unharmed.
Wait,
calls QABLI. He stares at the little blue spaces in the tilework. Out of some vestigial reflex, he nearly utters a prayer. The gods cursed me long ago. I will spend my breath on what is here and now. Yet, he finds himself holding his breath as he steps out into the tunnel, balancing and tiptoeing his way across the stretch between the stone-faced sentinels. He reaches the other side, with his heart pounding. Using one of his thief's tools, Rodun the White detaches a chain censer from the nearest statue and proceeds to carry it as though a lantern. Through the archway and down a wide set of stairs they go, unto a lower chamber. It is an expansive vault with filigree gilding even more splendorous than the prior. The base floor is a large circular area bearing several ornate coffers. There is a dais and a pedestal that holds an orb hewn from a dark stone. Directly behind it, on a higher pedestal, is a spear much like the previous one. This time, however, its silver runes reflect the firelight with a subtle, ghostly eminence.
"This is the place,"
whispers QABLI. Entranced, the burglars step out into the vault chamber. When they do, waves of witch fire begin to roll inside the orb. A heavy slab comes down in the archway behind them, sealing it shut. A second slab on the other side of the chamber sinks into the ground. Within the shadows of this recess, a large form stirs. Ripples of anxiety skitter down QABLI's spine.
"What is that?"
"A guardian."
Rodoon's response is short, as he dashes to put the dais between himself and the monstrosity emerging from its den. The creature steps into the hazy light of the chamber. It is a minotaur, with great horns and hooved feet, standing nearly the height of 2 men. It brandishes a triple flail, each section of chain ending in a spiked weight. But the most terrible aspect is the creature's desiccated, undead flesh. Dry skin pulls tight across its body and leaves the thing's skull almost completely exposed. A few wasps flit in and out of its eye sockets. Dread pulses through QABLI at the sight of the lumbering monster. Between he and the minotaur is the dais with the orb and the spear. Darimshing is told by legend to have tremendous power in battle. This orb, though, is entirely esoteric to him. He shouts to his comrade, using the cant of thieves. "Go to the guardian and distract it. I shall grab the spear and strike it from behind." Rodoon fights back his terror and agrees. QABLI climbs to the top of the dais and reaches for the spear. As he does, the dark orb ripples internally with pale flames. He withstands the orb's entrancing magic and takes the spear in hand. The white thief dashes across the chamber and confronts the minotaur. He shouts, cursing the monstrosity, and swings the burning censer at it. The censer collides against the thing, and the flames take to its dry hide. In response, it lashes out with its own weapon. Rodoon leaps aside in defense of his own life. Heavy chains and spikes smash against the floor, sending up puffs of dust. QABLI descends to the other side of the dais and slinks around back of the minotaur. The creature smells of old tombs, and the wasps buzz from the cavities of its dead body. He jabs the spear forward, and the minotaur turns its hollow gaze at him. The strike falls short of its target. Rodoon again whips the monster with the censer, bludgeoning and singeing desiccated flesh. The thing seems to take little notice of the white thief's assault. It swings its terrible flail at the man holding the rune-laden spear. QABLI ducks, and the chains pass just overhead. The spiked weights crash against a section of wall, cracking the stone. He returns the attack. Fear takes hold of his nerves, and the spear does not connect with the target.
"Strike down the monstrosity!"
shouts Rodoon. He swings the chain censer, wrapping about one of the minotaur's legs. He pulls in effort to bring the thing low, but it yanks the chain from his hand with a jerk of its hoof. The undead Minotaur whips crosswise with its weapon, catching QABLI with a glancing blow. Pain flares in him as the flames on the monster's hide extinguish into wisps of foul smoke. Pain racks QABLI's arm. Terror sends trembles throughout his hands. Again, his attack fails. "Throw me the spear!" shouts Rodun. QABLI is loath to give up the weapon. The white thief persists, this time circling round the beast's lumbering legs.
You are wounded and no warrior! Give it to me!
He grabs hold of the spear and yanks it from QABLI's weakened grasp. With a shout, half mad, half bold, Rodun the White drives the spear point up and into the Minotaur's chest. The thing staggers, then falls backwards. It crashes to the floor and remains still, except for a few wasps flitting about its skull. The orb, too, goes tranquil, and the slabs reverse their positions, reopening the archway exit. The white thief stands before QABLI, holding Darimshing proudly in hand.
You are a cursed man, QABLI Hadzawath. Wherever you walk, misfortune follows. I will not pursue the bitter path you walk.
QABLI grips his wounded arm and scowls at Rodun.
I have already brought you greater fortune than you could have imagined.
Rodun scoffs from beneath his face mask.
You insult the extents of my imagination. And what of Baku? What great fortune did you bring him? He lies dead on the floor as we speak.
You should thank me for having inadvertently removed one of your greatest rivals. Rodun eyes QABLI and tenses his grip on the spear, as if considering to strike the man down.
Goodbye.
At that, he turns and begins walking away.
I hope you find enough gold in these coffers to buy off whoever it is that has been pursuing you.
Silence falls over the vault. Eventually the pain in QABLI's arm fades to a dull throb. He opens one of the coffers to find assorted coins, jewels, goblets, and other treasure. A spark of joy appears in his heart, but for a moment. He begins filling a bag with as much of the wealth as he can carry. Then the orb catches his eye. It rests upon its pedestal like an eye of darkness, unblinking and staring into the depths of QABLI's mind. He leaves the bag of gold and gems and approaches the orb.
This is what I truly want.
He lays a hand upon the sphere. A tiny tongue of pale flame lights within its core.
Why run from my enemies? Why bribe their thugs? It is they who should serve me.
The Minotaur's skull falls to the side. Its lifeless stare lands on the man upon the dais, and it seems to grin at him. QABLI takes the orb into his palm.
The serpents of House Sawath are reborn this day.